Hello. This is Jonathan, and you're listening to the Johnny Talks podcast, the place where we help you achieve your financial goals. Hello there, friends, and welcome to episode 3 of the Johnny Talks podcast. In today's episode, we will speak to Araminta Robertson. Araminta is a 20-something helping other 20-somethings managing their finances. She blogs at financiallymint.com, and in this episode we will not only talk about money, we will also talk about career. And actually most of the episode we will talk about career development, as Araminta will present some interesting perspective on career testing and career exploring. I always thought that a common advice for people in the 20s was to start their career, climb up the corporate ladder, work hard, make money, and then build up on that. That's maybe the classic view. And but Araminta comes here with her perspective. Actually, it comes from the 80,000-hour organization, as she will explain. But it takes a more holistic approach, where you see where you take a more long-term approach, building on your portfolio, your skills, and your connections. Yeah, this concept was totally new to me. I'd never heard of this organization, etc. So it was very interesting to talk to Araminta. And if you have a brother or sister in their 20s, or you're yourself in your 20s and you wonder about how to get started, how to get started with money in your career, I think this will be very helpful to you. And even if you're a bit older, if you're 35, 40, 45, of course, this exploring, this career testing may not always apply to you, or at least your options will be narrower. And I address this question as well to Araminta in the show. So there's also possibilities there to explore, to maybe talk to other people in other industries, to develop additional skills, etc. So there are still possibilities. Of course, it's easier when you're 20. Anyway, with that said, I think it's best that I let the word to Araminta. I think I warmed you up enough for now, so let's hear the interview. Hello, Araminta. How are you doing today?
Hello, Jonathan. I'm great, thank you, here in Kuala Lumpur.
Wow,
Chilling.
fantastic. Then, very interesting having guests from all over the world here on the show. What's the time difference? I think it was 6 hours, right?
Yes, 6 hours. It's 3:10 right now, so afternoon.
Okay. Very good. So what are you actually doing in Kuala Lumpur?
So I'm here freelancing. I am a freelance fintech copywriter, and I have a couple of clients here in Kuala Lumpur. I enjoy working abroad, so this opportunity came up kind of mostly by chance. But turns out Kuala Lumpur is my second favorite city I've ever lived in. I love it here, so I'll probably stay a little longer. I was going to only stay 3 months, but I'll probably stay 6. And from there, we'll see. I'm just, we'll touch on this later, but I am career testing, career exploring, career building, and this is just one of the stepping stones here.
Wow, that's interesting. And I've never been to Malaysia. I've been to Singapore a few times. I'd love to come, so we'll definitely grab a drink if I'm visiting.
Yes, of course.
Okay, excellent. And but yourself, you're not Malaysian. Where are you from?
I am Scottish, so I was born in Scotland, but I grew up and spent most of my life in Spain, in Barcelona. My mom is Spanish, and but English is my first language, and I write and I talk mostly in English. So.
Okay. So Araminta and I got connected through social media, and what I saw is that she has a mission of helping people in their 20s managing their money. Although it might not be her main occupation, as you could hear right now, I still thought it would be interesting to have her on the show, since we are focusing on personal finance here. And maybe you can tell a little bit of how you get started to write on the blog, Araminta?
Yes, of course. This started, I was very young when I discovered this world. I was 18 and I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is probably well known amongst the personal finance community.
Absolutely.
I read it and I realized that I knew nothing about money. I really didn't. And I also understood from this book that if I was financially educated, if I understood how money worked, my life would be sorted out. This is kind of what I thought. But I realized I know nothing about money. How am I going to teach myself? So I started reading a lot of books. I started writing. Writing is a good way to process what you're learning. You need to really understand a topic
Mm-hmm.
in order to write about it properly. So I
Exactly.
started this blog to teach myself pretty much about investing, about taxes, about property, about budgeting. And slowly it built. I built it up and I realized I could also help other 20-year-olds, or at the time 19, 20-year-olds, people who are just getting started with university, just young adults in general.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I could also write articles and help them out at the same time with everything that I was reading. So Financially Mint really started as this blog to educate myself and then help others. And then also as a way to explore my own theories about career, about money management, and a great way to communicate with others, join a community which is extremely supportive and interesting, the personal finance community, the financial independence community. And since then it's been amazing. I've attended so many meetups. I started a podcast with two friends. We organized a 4-day conference in Portugal earlier this year. So I really immersed myself in this world thanks to this
Okay.
blog and podcast. And here I am. Now it's kind of part of my life as my job, well, as my work.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. And it's funny that it started with having questions, then
Mm.
you get into the research. And then finally, you, based on your research and your readings, you share it with others, and then it becomes part of your life. That's I really
It
like that.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
Through that, I kind of discovered my love for fintech,
Mm-hmm.
or financial education in general, financial education. And this is pretty much how I started doing what I am doing now. I was writing on this blog, and these other bloggers got in contact with me and said, we're happy to pay you to write about this, to help me do that. So I started doing some freelance work for other bloggers. This eventually snowballed into working with bigger clients. I worked for a startup in Barcelona on financial education, and I loved it. And now my clients are mainly fintech startups
Mm-hmm.
in the US, in the UK, in Malaysia. So it's quite funny, as you say, starting from 18, it kind of just followed this weird journey. And now I make my money doing this. And I like it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the funny thing is, okay, I started a bit later with getting into personal finance. I started the blog almost 3 years ago. So, but I have a similar path, kind of, started to, I want to get to know it by myself. I want to, let's say, refine my theories, write about it, process it, and then share with others. It's a bit a similar journey. So that's why it's interesting to me to hear this. And of course, yeah, my main idea with inviting you here is to, since you're focusing, I mean, since you were focused in your 20s on yeah, managing money, I was wanting to hear about your theories, your tips for people in their 20s. Like, let's say I have a sister in that is 22. How should she go about starting managing her money? What should she do? Is there any ways to get started?
Yes, so really the number one thing that I realized when I started educating myself about money was that being in control of your money means that you don't have to worry about it, because most of the people in the world, money takes control of them. We work so that we can earn money, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can put food on the table, etc., etc. It takes over our lives, it stresses us out, etc. So when I understood that if I could get this thing under control and not worry about it, I will have enough headspace, enough space in my mind to focus on what really matters, which is career, which is friends, which is family, health, life in general. So being in control of your money allows you to have the mental space to focus on life, which is why it's important, in my opinion, to have it under control. So I'm not saying you want it to take over your entire life. You don't want it to be every single day thinking about how do I save money. It's
Mm-hmm.
more, okay, how do I figure it out, put it to one side, and then focus on what really matters. So your sister, for example, it's quite on the first page, on the main page of my website, I have this kind of 4-step thing, which is it's pretty simple. It's just some ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but it starts with budgeting, which is basically just having like a mental picture of your financial health. And the number one thing that I talk about here is paying yourself first, which means always setting a percentage of your income and giving it like paying it to yourself. This is money for your debt, for investing, for savings. I think this was my biggest takeaway from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and a lot of these other personal finance books, is that when you allocate a certain percentage to yourself and you take that money, the minute you get it in your bank account, this money is yours. This is money for your financial health, right? So this is the number one thing in budgeting. I honestly, I don't even budget like nitty gritty stuff. I just make sure to take out my 15%, my 20%. I set that aside, and the rest of the money, I'm pretty. I track obviously, but I'm not like every penny. Oh, I don't want to spend more than 50 euros or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just make sure to take out that first percentage out, and the rest, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, but that's a great tip, because it's something I wrote about, and it removes your brain space, because you get whatever your salary, you take those 10-15% away, you never see them, and that's you don't think about it, and it gets stashed away and it grows on the side without you thinking about it, and that's very important, and it's a very effective method to start saving, and then you can do whatever you want with it, invest or whatever, but at least to get this habit, it's essential. And I think most personal finance articles I've seen, at least on this one, they all agree.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Yeah, you just put that away and you don't have to worry. I mean, these are your financial goals. You don't have to worry, I need to save this. You're already doing it automatically.
Exactly.
So then number 2 is saving money. This, I don't focus, for me, it's more reduce as much you can the mandatory bills. So the bills like rent, the bills that you have to pay whether you like or not, just try to make them as low as possible, like without obviously restricting yourself, but try not to have any waste there. Make sure you pay yourself first, and then you don't have to worry about, am I spending too much on rent? Am I spending too much on phone bills, etc.
Yeah.
Well, coffee is more, that's not a mandatory bill. That's more what my wants are, which is
correct.
something different. And I'm not someone who believes in cutting out all the coffees. It's more understanding what your priorities are. So if you are paying yourself first, if you've got enough money for rent and you're doing everything else okay, then a coffee now and then is okay. So it's not about, it's about, how much do you value
being mindful about what you spend your money on, huh?
Yeah, exactly,
okay,
pretty much.
Very good.
And then the third step, which is the step that everyone, loves or is most interested in, is making money. So in many other personal finance websites or books, this is the section where everyone starts talking about side hustles and making as much money as you can, pretty much. But from the point of view of a 20-year-old, I've taken a different approach. And I argue kind of something different, which is that don't try and make as much money as you can in your 20s. Actually, don't. Focus on something else, which is your career. Focus on finding a career that fits you best. Simply because in your 20s, your potential to make money isn't very high. You don't have many skills. Your portfolio is small. You don't have a network. So your potential is low. Instead, focus on building those 3 things, which this organization, a really cool organization, and I agree with what they say. They call it career capital, which is skills, portfolio, and connections. In your 20s, this is very small. So focus on growing that. And then in your 30s, 40s, your potential will be much higher. And then you'll be able to make much more money. So the making money part.
You're taking a more of a long-term view, if I see that.
Yeah. I would call it invest in yourself, right? Invest in yourself early on, and it will come later. So there are a few things that come into this. So for example, the question then is, how do I invest in myself? How do I find a career that fits me best? How do I figure out which are the skills that I need to build? And I write a lot about this on Financially Mint. This is something I really enjoy exploring. And I always want to say that this is a theory. I'm not saying, do it. I'm just saying this is what I think, because everyone, this applies differently to every single person. So what I believe in is in exploring career paths before committing to one. Same with university. For committing to university, explore the different subjects. investigate. Treat your career like a scientist, testing different hypotheses. What is it that what fits my interests and my needs best? So there are a few ways of doing this. For example, this is the 80,000 hours organization. They talk a lot about this, but you start by kind of making a list of 10 to 15 career paths that you'd be interested in following. You then investigate, you research, you talk to people in those careers, and you try and reduce it to three to five career paths. And those 3 to 5 career paths are the ones that you're going to test. And how do you test them? Internships, doing the actual job, talking to people. So that's the part that I call exploration, which is just exploring these different careers. But the thing is that a lot of people then say, okay, but it doesn't make much sense because then you're just hopping around from one career to another. You just sound like a typical millennial that doesn't know what they want. True. But which is why it's very important, the second part of the equation, which is building career capital. So you don't want to just be jumping from one internship to another,
you want to take something
from one
with
job
you.
to another.
Yeah.
And yes, you want to take something with you. What are those things you want to take with you? 3 things that I said before: a portfolio, skills, and network. So every time you try a new career, you have a new career test. You want to make sure this career is helping you build your portfolio, which means building your experience.
Yeah.
You want to make sure this career is teaching you new skills. And thirdly, you want this career to help you make connections with interesting people or your network.
Yeah.
And there's a fourth thing, actually, which is you want this career to allow you to save 15% of your income. So you still want to be able to so I'm not saying make as much money as you can, but say make enough that you can still save a portion. Because if you are on an extremely strict budget, then, life gets difficult and you still want to be saving for your future.
Yeah, so
these are kind of...
You're building foundations for your future in the terms of career and money, but I mean the focus is more on building the foundation. That's how I see it. I mean that's how I understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very big on skills, so I talk a lot about building transferable skills. So not only do you want to build skills for your portfolio, for your career, but also skills that you can transfer from one skill to from one career
industry,
to another.
Yeah, career, yeah.
Exactly. So meta skills. An example, there's 2 kinds of skills that I'm talking about here. Skills that you can master to earn a side income, which is helpful if you're struggling with money or if you just want to build your skills once again. So examples would be translation, teaching, programming, digital marketing, design, and writing. Those are just examples. And then meta skills, which are kind of skills that you can transfer from one industry to another, would be also some of these, digital marketing and writing, leadership,
communication.
And general communication. Yeah, these are other meta skills that are also important when you're building, as you said, your foundation when it comes to career. So I really put a priority on investing on yourself so that then in the future you have more leverage and it's much easier for you to make money and therefore invest money and then do whatever you want with it, buy a house, retire early, etc.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And do you also have views, for example, because my audience might be a bit older than their 20s, if let's say you're 32, 33, and you realize, wow, I'm listening to Araminta here on the Johnny Talks podcast. Great tips, but I'm already 32 or 35. What can I still do about it? Is there any way to catch up, or what should I do?
Well, it depends on your career. It depends if you're satisfied with your career. This is definitely not a theory that applies only to 20-year-olds. Career is something that's always evolving. It's a work in progress. It's not like at 20 you decide, okay, I'm going to be this and I'm going to stick with that forever. No, it's constantly evolving. You're constantly learning something new about yourself, about the world, about the careers. So even if you're 35, 40, you can still do some career testing. Yes, maybe retraining or something like that isn't something you want to... So you have to be realistic about it. So when I said you do your 10 to 15 a list of 10 to 15 careers, and then you break it down to 3 to 5, you also are allowed to be realistic and say, right, I'm not going to go back to university if I need a degree, so I'm going to cross that career path out. So you write a list of 3 to 5 careers that are realistic for you in your 30s or 40s or whatever it is, and then you test those out. That could be as simple as just talking to someone who has that job and asking them, look, meeting them for coffee and
Coffee, yeah,
saying,
yeah.
how easy is it for me to maybe get the job that you have or get into that industry? So it's just about constant investigation, constant research, constant trying new things. The only thing is that at 20, obviously, you have way more options because you're
Exactly.
starting from zero.
At 35, it will require more efforts and more maybe training or reorienting. Reorienting
Exactly.
will look weird for the HR people, but it's possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's again, what are your if you really dislike your job, then you maybe you have no other option, right? If it's all about trying to figure out what fits you best.
Yeah.
It's not about, removing everything and starting from zero. You don't have to do that. But it's by experimenting and trying a lot of different things that you can figure out. Maybe, okay, so I don't really like being an engineer, but maybe if I build a transferable skill as digital marketing, I can try and start a blog for engineers and learn how to market myself and then start courses and then teach other engineers or students. It's all about trying to look from a different perspective,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to, building these different skills.
And then I have just another question because let's say I'm an IT engineer, which I'm not, but okay, I'm just a fictive scenario. I love programming. I love my career. I love my company. They pay me low, but I see there's possibilities. Should I work my butt off to climb the corporate ladder if I'm 22, let's say? Because I love it, but as well I want to build a good future. What can I do? I don't want to explore anymore. I know I want to be in programming and in finance, in technical environment all the time.
You're saying the problem is that you're not making enough money.
Yeah, exactly. You're not making enough money. Should I work 12 hours a day? What should I do in order to build my income and to still stick with my career? Because I found my way. I found something I love. Yeah.
Well, even if you have found something you love, it will still evolve, right? What you love at 25 might be different at 30. I'm not saying you'll change industry, but that you have to allow yourself to adapt. That's just a side note. But to answer your question, then this is why I talked about these transferable skills. You can build some, and specifically tech skills are extremely useful because in the future, obviously, we're just going to have more technology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I have an article on this on my blog, which walks through 6 different transferable skills that you can master.
Oh, awesome.
And I recommend mastering 2. You master 2, you get good at them, and you get good at them by selling these skills online, right? We're talking about making money online as a side income.
Yeah.
This is pretty much what I did when I was starting out. Internships, they don't pay you anything. You have to figure out how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So I was in a similar situation, and I thought, okay, I need to make some extra money online. I'm not going to work crazy hours. It's just some extra money online so I can continue doing this internship, which is building my skills portfolio, etc. So I mentioned them before, these skills: translation, teaching, programming, digital marketing, design, and writing. These are just 6. There's more. These are just ideas. So focus on 2 of these skills, get good at them, and then find clients online to sell these services to. It depends on every person. You said your guy is programming. I'm sure there's a way he can sell his skills online to someone who whether it's website design or something else. But these are extremely useful, these skills, because if you ever find, that you've been let go of your job, or if you're I don't know, you find yourself in a position where you're not making any money, having these skills is like a cushion. It's some kind of they're just there to help you out. You have this confidence suddenly. You'll never be, you'll always be able to make money. So these skills, I find them that they're very useful to have, whether it's to make an extra income, it's to build your portfolio, it's just to give you the confidence to know that you can always find clients.
Oh, but that's very interesting. If I look back at myself, when I was 22, I started my career at 25. I was always in the impression, okay, I have to work hard, I have to work long hours, and okay, the skills will come, the experience will come, and then I will climb up the corporate ladder. Okay, it works up to a point, but I never had this. I mean, when I was that age, I didn't think of exploring, like building this portfolio of skills. I mean, I had this idea, but I didn't really, I mean, it was not crystal clear to me that I should build this, so it's very interesting to hear that, because I didn't grow up, or I didn't, it was not ingrained in me to expand those skills. So that's very good to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's terrible because no one tells us this, right? You finish high school at 18 and everyone says you need to go to university. But really, should I? I mean, I'm about to commit 4 years of my life, energy, and money to something that I'm not sure if I want to. I don't know. I'm 18. How am I supposed to know what I want to do? You know? Yeah. So I found myself exactly in this position. At 18, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And I was just extremely lucky that my parents didn't force me. They were like, okay, chill, do whatever you want. They trusted me. So I did. I explored. I worked in China for a bit. I worked abroad. I did my own thing. And I applied to university several times, didn't get in. And then I decided that university was not for me and I'd rather go in my own direction. That's just because I was given the opportunity to explore. I think every 18-year-old, and my brother is he's 18 right now, and I tell him, and every 18-year-old should understand that at 18 you want to be exploring, not committing. You're just starting out in life. You want to be exploring as many different things. Okay, maybe that's not the right wording. Not as many different things because you're spreading yourself thin, but being clever about it and exploring and building that career capital at the same time. And so maybe that involves university and maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that's absolutely fine because nowadays you don't always need a degree to do what you want.
Yeah, in that sense as well, I mean, I went to university and I'm very happy about my experience there. So there's no problem there. But I also choose management and economics and finance, which would still allow me to explore different industries and areas. So in that sense, I'm happy about it. It's just that I didn't have the mindset of building additional skills once I started my career. So like the programmer who wants to develop, I didn't have this, and that I missed a little bit, which I'm of course doing. I have started doing this a bit later on. So that's great. And anyway, Araminta, I also saw that you are a host of a podcast show. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah.
Financial Independence Europe is our podcast. We just started over a year and a half ago. And I eventually, through this blog, it was just purely personal finance, financially mint. And then I stumbled on the financial independence world, as I think many other people do. I went to a lot of meetups and I met these two guys, a German and a Dutch. And we said, yeah, there's no one talking about financial independence in Europe. So let's start a podcast about it. And we just started interviewing people. It was a lot of fun, and we still publish every single week. Earlier this year, we had a 4-day retreat/conference in Portugal. We had 25 financial independence nerds join us, and we were, doing conferences, but also masterminds, and then surfing in the afternoon and touristing. It was quite fun. So yeah, the podcast is I'm not so into the financial independence world anymore because I'm, as I said before, a big believer in finding that career that fits you best instead of going to whatever job, making as much money as you can, saving as much money as you can to then retire early. Right? I feel that if you have the opportunity to find a career that really fulfills you, then go for that. But obviously, I'm talking from the experience of a 20-year-old, not someone who has, much more experience in their career. So this is, again, just my theory, right? Okay. I'm not saying this is...
No, but it's very interesting. And Araminta, I will just end with one question. I hope it's not too personal, but we are here on a personal finance blog, podcast, actually. Still need to get used to this thing. So now, okay, you have had a great journey. You're sharing your insights. But what about yourself? Do you manage your money today? I guess you still apply this pay yourself first, but what about your investments? How do you invest your money, or how do you set up yourself for the future?
Yeah, so I'm self-employed in the UK. I'm a freelancer and I have several clients that pay me at several times during the month. So the minute, whether they're giving me 100 euros or 500 euros, the minute I get that, I take out 15%,
Okay.
and I put this away in savings. These savings, I'm rebuilding my emergency fund because I had to take out some, sadly, rebuilding my emergency fund, and then I have some investments in index funds, ETFs, the usual in Vanguard, and that's in there for retirement or maybe house
Okay,
eventually,
so
but I don't touch that.
mainly kind of not brainless, but I mean like good investing in low cost index funds.
Yeah, yeah. This is the, traditional, typical stuff of the FI community, right?
Mhm.
ETFs, index funds. It's what works best. I don't want to get my head too much into it.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way because then you're for the listeners, you're putting your money in a diversified portfolio, which has shown historical growth of about what 7-8%
mhm.
yearly. It's not a guarantee, of course, but it is rather safe while still risky, and it's a good way to put your money and not think about it. It's diversified. It will absorb. You will see it go down. You will see it go up, but on the long haul, it should go up.
Yes, we're betting on the economy, right? The
Yeah.
stock market is the economy of the world, so it will only go up. And it's not money for emergencies. It's not money that I need right now. It's money for the future.
For the
I don't really
future.
touch
Yeah.
it. Yes, I
Just
don't.
then a really practical, to the point question. Because you're based in currently in Malaysia, you have your company in UK. Do you have a broker in the UK or somewhere else?
Yes, that's the thing. The UK has some amazing opportunities as an
Mm-hmm.
investor. Any British will know what I'm talking about, the ISA, Individual Savings Account, which is why I am extremely interested in staying as a tax resident in the UK.
Yeah.
So ISA basically allows you to invest £20,000 every single year, tax free. And I'm using that basically. And the broker, yeah, is Vanguard UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Vanguard does not have an EU version, so you have to go through another broker.
Yeah.
But Vanguard does have a UK version, so I'm investing directly through them. It means I can only buy Vanguard funds, which is a shame. But as I said, I'm not very, I'm just buying the same fund every time. I don't really try and stock pick or anything, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, but that's fine. That's great. I like that. Okay, well, Araminta, well, thank you for all your insight. I think it was very valuable. I really appreciate your unique views on making money in your 20s or maybe even later. Your views, your long-term views, and how you should build your career, the portfolio. What was it? The portfolio, the network, and the skills
Yeah, exactly. Portfolio skills and connections.
and
And
connections.
I want
Yeah.
to say that this is not my theory, or like I did not create this idea. It's from the 80,000 Hours organization, which I extremely super highly recommend. Everyone check it out. They have some amazing advice there. I just took it from them and kind of adapted it and paraphrased it, but yeah, it's from them. It's really great advice.
Okay, very good, very good. So what I will do, I will link everything anyway in the show notes, and you
Sure.
can reach out to Araminta. And how can they find you? Social media, your website, financiallymin.com.
Yeah, I'm everywhere on social media, Twitter. I like Twitter most to be
Yeah.
contacted.
Mm-hmm.
If not, yes, you can contact me on the contact me page on the Financially Mint website.
Okay, I'll link it all up so then you can contact Araminta and read her great articles. So Araminta, thank you. I wish you a pleasant day further, and then we'll speak next time.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode with Araminta. It was very interesting to talk to her. She's a smart lady and has interesting perspectives, and fresh perspectives as well, because I didn't know about this 80,000 hour organization. And now I just have this thought that pops in, and maybe I should invite her again in 5 years or in 10 years, and to see where she is in her career exploring and testing, if she has found one career, one path, and how her finances are doing. Just I think that would be very interesting. But I think she will be very successful in anything she undertakes. Anyway, that was it for today. And before we leave, I just want to tell you that next week we will have Pete McPherson from doyouevenblog.com. On the show, he will share his story on how he left his corporate job to start working on a project he's been passionate about, his podcast, Do You Even Blog? We will discuss if you should take the same approach as Pete, leaving a stable situation to an unstable situation or more risky situation of working on something you're passionate about, or take a different route. So make sure you stay tuned and subscribe in Apple Podcasts so you'll get the notification when the episode is released. And of course, as usual, if you have any comments, any feedback, any remark, please feel free to contact me at john@johnnytalks.com, and please do follow me on social media. I love to connect with you and exchanging with you guys. So it's @JohnnyTalks on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And with that said, thanks again for listening. I really appreciate it, guys, and I speak to you next time.